Hey guys, and welcome back to another flashlight review. Today we are going to be looking at the Sofirn SD06, and Sofirn reached out to me recently and offered a sample of the SD06 for review. And this is actually marketed as a diving flashlight. It features an SFT 70 emitter, de-domed emitter paired with a very simple UI, and I think that's what drew me to this light in the first place. I just can't think of any other Sofirn lights out there that use the SFT 70. Some of you might be able to, and yeah, comment down below if you do. And I do also like the fact that it's relatively small and pocketable as well, especially for an SFT 70 flashlight. So let's take a look at what you get in the box. Alrighty, so this is the box that the SD06 comes in. Does have some specifications there on the front, but pretty basic box there by Sofirn. Don't mind a simple box. And over the side here, you've got a few accessories. So this is a lanyard, also has a couple of spare O-rings there, which are going to be helpful in the future. You have a USB-C cable as usual. You've also got a 21700 cell, so it's a Sofirn branded cell, and they also include an external battery charger as well. Okay, so as usual, I have a bunch of flashlights I want to compare with the SD06, just in terms of size comparisons. And on the right, I've got my Convoy M21B. The bezel's pretty much the same size, it's just that it's a little bit shorter, the SD06. Workhorse TS23, another sample that I received recently. Again, quite a similar size, but the TS23 does have a larger bezel, making it a little bit more difficult to carry around. And here I've got the Sofirn IF22, and yeah, you can see the bezel is actually smaller than on the IF22, very similar to the Convoy M21B. Okay, so a little close-up of the Sofirn SD06, very simple design. There's nothing special about the design, but I do like that it doesn't draw any attention. You know, quite a nice look in my opinion. And cooling fins on the side of the head there. You know, it's really just quite conservatively styled. The battery tube also has a bit of knurling on the side, okay, which is good, given that it is a little bit slippery, the anodizing. It's kind of it's in between matte black and glossy. So yeah, it just doesn't have a whole lot of grip. The light is operated by a single side switch here, and the switch can actually be turned in order to lock and unlock the light. As you can see here, just sort of turn it left and right. Basically just press down on the switch in order to activate it. It's a metal switch, so it's going to have some good durability. The light is also rated IP68 at 100 meters of water resistance, 1 meter drop resistance. So yeah, the 100 meter water resistance is something that obviously if you're going to call it a diving light, you're going to need some extra water protection than normal. And yeah, the head and the tail cap are completely sealed as well. You can't get in there. They've probably put some type of glue inside just to stop anyone from getting in there, but you know, there is an ability to just unscrew the battery tube here, and you can see there's a couple of O-rings there at the base, chunky O-rings that's going to help keep out that water. You know, like I said, the tail cap can't be removed, though it does tail stand. You have to really balance it like that. There's only just a little bit of flat material on the end. And yeah, this can also hold a lanyard, a chunky lanyard as well. The head and the bezel, as you can see, you know, it's a larger diameter than the battery tube. Okay, so, you know, that just, of course, it makes space for this larger smooth reflector in there. And I do find that with the SFT40, it pays to have a slightly larger reflector. It can be difficult to focus these LEDs without getting in that donut hole. So thankfully there's no issue with this one. Glass lens on the front as well. So I'll go through the UI for you guys now. As you can see, it's in the lock mode, so you really need to just switch that over to the unlock mode. Doesn't require too much effort, but there's a little bit of, see if I just sort of wiggle it around, it doesn't turn. You have to give it a little bit more pressure to move that switch around like that. So once it's on the unlock mode, basically turn it on. It's on the last memory mode, whichever one I left it in. And then there's only 3 modes, so low, medium, high. Press and hold to turn off. And again, if you turn it on again, it just remembers that last mode. Alrighty, so I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests to see how this light performs, and you can see here on the high mode, starts out at 100% and drops to about 90% by the 1 minute mark, at which point it completely drops down to about 50% output. So you can see there, it just holds that until about the 4 minute mark. Then it steps down to roughly about a third of its output. You do get at least a minute runtime on the high mode, between 90 to 100%. Ran a second ceiling bounce test here on medium, and you can see 1100 lumens, and I ran that test for 30 minutes and it was able to hold that brightness for the entire duration of the test. Also ran a bunch of tests with my Audible Lightmaster Pro, and you can see here on high, managed to get 527 meters of throw, and these are switch on figures, but still pretty impressive given how small that reflector is in there. You know, the SFT40 does play a big part in this, obviously. Even on the medium mode, I got 306 meters, which is very respectable, and CRI range from 67 to 71. So, you know, that's nothing to be really surprised about with the SFT40. It doesn't have great CRI, but it's more of a spotting and visibility focused LED. CCT range from 5,800 to 6,800 on high. The Sofirn SD06 has a pretty impressive combination of throw and flood. I do like that large focused hotspot as well you get with the SFT70. When you have small LEDs like the Osram W1 or W2, you get lots of throw, but really no spill, and that hotspot is tiny as well. I also like that they've managed to focus the LED perfectly, so there's no donut hole or artifacts, which is common with many smaller SFT70 flashlights. So some considerations to keep in mind. I found that the light is actually activated, or can be activated, by a magnet, can be turned on. So that's, you know, something you want to remember if you're storing it, maybe with some magnetized objects. Just be careful, unscrew the head and it doesn't happen. The second consideration is the 1 minute of runtime on high, which I think is decent, but you know, I wish it could hold up for a bit longer, maybe 2 minutes or so. I have seen other diving lights be able to keep up, but they are also using LEDs that produce less heat. So the SST40, for example. But, you know, considering that it's an SFT70 light, it's smaller than other diving lights, I think it does pretty well. The third consideration is no onboard charging. Okay, so that's common with diving lights as well, just to prevent water from getting into those ports and leaking into the flashlight. So it's a good thing. Thankfully, Sofirn do include an external charger, but I did find that the battery fits a bit too snugly for my liking. And where is it? It's over here. And, you know, you can see there, it's probably because the charger is actually designed for, you know, 26-650, 18-650s. So it's really not designed for a 21-700 cell. It does work in there though, but yeah, pretty snug. Now, the fourth consideration is I wish this thing had a moonlight mode, and I think that would have made it more of a general purpose flashlight, would have made it absolutely perfect at that point. But yeah, I still think the 3 modes, especially that lower mode, is low enough to use, you know, as, you know, for a walking light or just around the house without blinding yourself. So overall, I know this is marketed as a diving light, but I think it can also be used as a no-nonsense general purpose flashlight. I really like that sturdy build quality, feels really chunky, and got that simple UI and surprisingly throwy beam as well, given the larger bezel and reflector. I recommend this if you're looking for a powerful, compact and easy to use flashlight, whether that be for diving or just around the house. I think it's a really good side switch flashlights, and I'm normally not a huge fan of side switch flashlights, but you know, do make an exception for this one just due to the value that you get and that easy to use UI. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out the link in the description. I've got a discount voucher available there for the SD06. If you have any questions as well, just leave them down in the comments. I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, do me a big favor and click the like button. That's one of the few ways that my videos get recommended out on YouTube. And if you want to see more flashlight news and reviews, make sure you subscribe.
Sofirn SD06, and this is just on the lowest mode, and you can, you know, you can have a closer look at a better look at the beam profile this way. Really large hotspot and tons of spill. Okay, that's the low mode, medium mode, and pretty impressive. I mean, it reaches all the way to those trees at the back quite easily. And high. Wow. That's really impressive. So much light as well with that SFT70. Surprised Sofirn have used this LED, given that a lot of previous Sofirn lights just haven't used it. And yeah, it's a powerhouse of an LED, as you can see. But yeah, it does step down after about a minute or so. And you know, at the moment it's still going okay. Pretty chilly night here in Melbourne, and there's a bit of mist in the air. A little bit of, I wouldn't say fog, but yeah. So once it does step down, which I believe it has now, you can turn it off and turn it back on again to reactivate that turbo mode. Well, not turbo, but just the high mode. Only 3 modes in here. Okay, I'll go for a bit of a walk and you'll be able to see what the beam profile looks like even better. And yeah, it's just such a nice balanced beam. You know, I love throwy flashlights, but I do find sometimes that you are sacrificing a lot in terms of the flood overall light output as well. I'm on a golf course right now, and I mean, it's just so easy to see all the way to the back. Now the head is getting a bit hot. It's definitely more than warm, and it's a cool night tonight, about maybe 10 to 12 degrees Celsius in Melbourne. There's something out there in the back, something that's just attracting some light there, some reflective material. Oh, it's gone. Is that a person there, or is that an animal? I don't know. Yeah, that was a bit strange. Seemed like it's too far away to be a... Oh, okay. I think it's only reflecting at a certain angle. And yeah, it's holding up pretty well. Turn it off again, turn it back on, and there you go. The turbo, keep calling it turbo, the high mode, you're able to reactivate it again a second time. And yeah, this is really like marketed as a diving light, but as a throwy EDC flashlight, or just a, you know, even a medium-sized flashlight carry around. It doesn't come with a clip, but you can easily attach one. I think this is, I mean, this is one of my favorite Sofirn lights, and initially I was unsure about whether to accept this for review, but I'm really happy that I did. It's a hidden gem for those of you who want a spotlight that fits right in your pocket. Sofirn SD06. I'm down this little alleyway, I guess, and that's the high mode. Really quite easily reaching all the way down to the end. And got low, medium, medium reaching down the end quite easily, as you can see, and the high mode. And swap over to medium, back to the medium again. I think that's probably the best mode to use in this kind of situation, unless you really need to see clearly what's going on out the back, but I think it's pretty good. Just amazing how far this thing can actually throw.